Humanity Matters.
Hi everyone, it's Dana Arshin Kraslow. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Dana Download. This is my second podcast today. I usually don't record 2 in a day, but I had a really special guest that I really wanted to bring on, and I'm glad we were able to make it happen. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. I'll read a little bio about you. I mean, we have so much to get to today. So Stephen Koppell is a commercial real estate attorney, father, and runner. After losing his wife, Stacey, unexpectedly in December of 2022, when their daughter Hannah was just 15 months old, Stephen found himself navigating the unimaginable challenge of raising his young daughter while grieving the loss of his wife. Now, before Stacey passed away, Stephen had promised her that he would run the New York City Marathon in her honor and to raise awareness of the rare disease she battled. He went on to lose 90 pounds, that's incredible, and complete the 2023 New York City Marathon, beginning a running journey that has since included 3 marathons, 10 half marathons. Through his Instagram account, Running to Heal, that's running the number 2, then HEEL, Stephen shares his journey through grief, fatherhood, running, and life after loss, including rebuilding his life, finding love again, and learning that moving forward doesn't mean leaving the person you lost behind. Wow. I'm sure anyone listening to that. But you know what? We're going to have a heavy episode.
Yeah.
I want to start with something light. And I did warn you that I was going to start this episode by letting the listeners know how you and I first met. I'd like to hear your side of the story.
Well, someone was illegally parked in the Chabad parking lot. I back up, and the Tesla does or doesn't make a sound. Shout out Elon Musk. Got to get that checked out. And I straight up just backed right into your car.
So we go to the same, our kids go to the same preschool.
Yeah.
And by the way, when he says I was illegally parked, please note, this is the worst parking lot ever. And everyone illegally parks. There's like no other, I guess he didn't, but there's no other way to park. People just like line up straight. And I came out and I was pretty calm. You were kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I haven't really gotten, fortunately, into like many fender benders before. And my husband and I were like, he's like, don't give your insurance. And we're like, okay, because he's like, our insurance is going to go up even though we didn't do anything wrong. And then you reach out, you're like, you have to give me your insurance. I'm like, we won't give you your insurance. Anyway, I feel like that was the start of this really nice friendship that we have.
Right.
When did we get to the point where we're like, let's be friends?
It was a very Jewish way of starting a friendship. We had to decide who was right and who was wrong.
And the insurance company found that I was right.
Yeah. And I was joking with Dana, you know, I pulled up to this beautiful preserve and by accident, I might have dinged a Tesla on the way into it. But no, I think what we got, I was like the end of the year picnic, ice cream. We had like a mutual friend there. And we were just like very friendly. And yeah, we've been friends since then.
You know, I never told you this, but the day I came home after you hit the car, my best friend, Kara Partovich, and I told her about you, and she said, oh, he's actually a really nice guy. And I know your kids are in class together. And she shared a little bit about what you went through. And I just cried on the spot.
Oh, man.
And I never told you that. And I was just like, you know, I know you got worked up that day. And I was like, it makes, like, you have so much going on and so much that you have to deal with, incident after incident after incident, that I can understand how just any mounting thing has to be so stressful as a single dad. So I don't even know where to begin. Let's talk about Stacey and the person that she was. Can you tell us about her? How you met and how, unfortunately, her life was taken way too soon.
Right. So we met at the University of Maryland. We were juniors, you know, classic fraternity, sorority. She asked me out to some dated thing, and we hit it off from there. We were college sweethearts, and we, we became closer and closer. She's the type of person you could walk into a room and just light it up, She was the center of attention, and she loved being the center of attention. And she had a very strong personality. She was an incredible teacher. She went to Maryland for a teaching degree. She most recently had taught at 3 Jewish day schools on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And, I loved her so much. And, we were together about 5 or 6 years. We got engaged. We lived in Washington, D.C. At the time, I proposed to her at the National Zoo. So we lived in Woodley Park, so it was walking distance to there. And 3 weeks later, she got her first blood clot. And from there, we had a long series of hospital visits, and things never really got better. We traveled to UCSD in San Diego, where she had a 12-hour surgery. We went to Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. We went to Mass General in Boston for another surgery, several hospitals in New York, UPenn, and no one can really give us an answer. But she had an undiagnosed autoimmune condition that led to another rare condition called pulmonary hypertension. And
I know you're here and you knew we were going to talk about it, but you're comfortable talking about it?
Yeah. And so her condition stabilized around 2018, 2019. She actually, we got through all of COVID without her ever having a hospital visit after having countless hospital visits before then. And then we eventually had Hannah. We had my daughter Hannah, who's now turning 5 in a month, going to kindergarten. I lost my train of thought, but
no. So she had gone through all these issues, and COVID, she was fine. You had
Right.
Hannah after COVID.
yeah, we had Hannah through our amazing surrogate Melissa out in Idaho.
Because they thought there'd be complications.
Right, because the drugs that she was taking, it wasn't compatible with having a birth, and it could kill her getting pregnant. Mm-hmm. So we created embryos, had Hannah. Hannah was about 15 months old. Stacey had not been to the hospital for the past 2.5 years. She was having some chest pain, and she's on a texting relationship with her pulmonologist and cardiologist. He said, "Oh, just go to this was December 29th, so it's close to the end of the year. So okay." Because her doctor said, "Okay, just go to the ER, get checked out." We lived half a block from Mount Sinai West and near Columbus Circle. And then 5 hours later, she was gone. It was the night from hell. And it was just the most awful situation.
Was Hannah with you?
Yeah, Hannah was with me. And then once things were kind of taking a turn that night, I had my sister, who lived also on the west side of Manhattan, come by so I can go to the hospital and see what's going on. And I had my parents and Stacey's parents on the phone, and then a doctor telling me at 1:24 in the morning on December 30th that she's gone and we lost her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was she aware of what was happening?
I think in that moment, it was escalating. It was getting more serious, and she was just saying, "Stephen, I love you, I love you, I love you." And they eventually put her the oxygen on and took her into emergency surgery, where she didn't make it out of that night.
So how did she die? What was it?
The
autoimmune disease?
Yeah,
the second one, or
right. So it was the autoimmune condition, and so this is one of the things that I struggled with for a while. It's in Judaism, you're really not supposed to get an autopsy.
Right.
We did, because this was such a medical mystery.
You want to make sure it's not genetic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
you don't ever have to apologize or justify for that.
Right. And it still wasn't clear, even with that, exactly what caused her to die that night. And so is you just have to be like, this is the situation. And, the next morning it was just horrible. I had my sister stay over with me that night and just like lay next to me in bed. I don't think I slept an hour, or a second, just like thinking like, oh my God, like my life is forever changed. Like, and just thinking about Hannah and like, where do I go from here?
And where did you go? How did you find the strength, and what got you through that time?
Just a lot of, I've had a community of people like rally around me, friends, family, and I was in Big Law at the time. My job was very helpful for me. I had to learn how to be Stacey was the one where she like worked part-time at a Jewish day school at that point, and I was kind of the breadwinner of the family. And sometimes I would have late nights working till 8, 9 o'clock, and I had to learn how to be not just a dad, but a solo dad, and being mom and dad. And I had some of my friends would come stay with me, teach me how to do girls' hair, and just had I had another friend who was a dietitian who would go through my fridge and help clean it out. So I had like a community.
Like you had a really incredible community,
right? Like really great friends to rely on, and I would say for anyone like listening, if you have a friend that's going through grieving someone or just going through a difficult time in their life, rather than ask them how are you doing, or what can I do? They don't know what to do in that situation. I just show up and, take their kids for an hour so they can go take care of themselves, or bring them a meal, and that's the way to really show up for someone.
Yeah. Or even just say, I'm thinking of you, not how
Right.
are you?
Exactly.
But I know it's such a difficult situation. So how did Hannah move on from that time? Did she realize that her mom was gone? Did she have any memories of her?
So we talk about Stacey all the time, every day, and Hannah's always asking about her mommy every day, and Stacey's someone who like loved taking photos and videos of everything. I have 50,000, 60,000 photos and videos of her with Hannah, and so it's
beautiful.
something that we're constantly looking at pictures of mommy at night. We're working on a photo album together, and telling stories about her. And I'm still very close with Stacey's family, so we see them a lot, and they have stories and things to share as well.
That's
and
so beautiful.
And and then the other question you had, it's like I'm not sure what she remembers like from when she was 15 months old, but I like to think like with photos and videos and stories, that's really what's going to pass down the memories of her to Hannah.
And how lucky are we to live in an age where, when we were little kids, you're lucky if you had like a camcorder
Right.
with a video or two,
Yeah.
right? So when did you have the strength to really move forward and be open to dating again? And I'd love to hear about the new love that you found, because I don't want this just to be about the saddest and hardest part of your life, but it's nice to show our listeners how you were able to thrive and move forward.
Right. I think the biggest misconception about grief is people think of it as like you grieve in stages, and that there's like 6
Like
stages.
a beginning, middle, and end.
Right. And you don't ever stop grieving. It's not something like a pain, a loss of a parent, a child, a spouse. It's not something you ever really get over. But you can learn to grow around your grief. And there's something that I like an Instagram reel I saw one day that it's like described it as like your grief is like in the center is like a circle, and like you start to have experiences where you grow around your grief, and the grief doesn't go away, but it doesn't consume you in the same way it did in those early days. And you can you want to experience life again. And I knew like I knew Stacey would support me or would have supported me in finding a new partner and having someone to be a companion, because or early on, like even when was started having these issues 2015, 2016, 2018, she had even said to me, she's like, Steve, if anything ever happens to me, like I would want you to like find happiness.
What a selfless thing to
Right.
say.
And I would tell her, like, don't ever say that. Nothing's ever gonna happen to you, and then and so I think just over time, just wanting that companionship. I think Stacey would also laugh because she'd be like, "There's no way I could ever raise Hannah by myself."
And look how Kara says you're in the mom chats with all of them. Like you are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, so funny story about that. So they even invited me to the moms night out.
I love that.
And so
did you go?
Yeah, of course I did. I wanted to be there. Like I wanted Hannah to like make friends, have play dates and stuff. So I was like,
that's
okay,
the best
so I'm
way
gonna
to meet everyone. That's beautiful.
Right. And so it was, and everything was great in the dinner, except by the end of the conversation, it turned to going to the mikvah at the, then it was like,
and you're like, okay, this is my time to leave.
Yeah. I didn't really have anything to add to that portion of the conversation, but, no, but everyone's been great at our, preschool.
Yeah.
And then in finding my girlfriend, Marcy. So, this is actually someone that I was introduced to. It was from my sister-in-law, so Stacey's brother's wife, and one of her best friends, who's actually my next door neighbor now in Port Washington. And the two of them are like, hey, like I don't know if like he's like open or like wants to date yet, but this is someone who has like is in the process of getting divorced, like has a daughter that's the same age as Hannah. And they set us up, and
they're exactly the same age.
Marcy's daughter's 5 months older.
Wow.
And,
is she at the same school? About also?
No, not right now. But we hit it off, and here we are now.
Wow. So how long have you been together for?
Almost 3 years.
Wow, I see all your pictures.
Yeah.
They look amazing. Do you live together?
Yeah.
So the two girls are like sisters now?
Yeah.
Or do they get along really nicely?
Yeah. They love each other like sisters, and then sometimes they fight like sisters.
Which is great and normal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So what has that been like for both of you, the families coming together? Have there been challenges? Has it mostly been, a very positive way to move forward?
Yeah, no, it's been good, but having a blended family has its own challenges. Hannah's with us all the time, whereas Marcy's daughter's is a split custody situation, and there's just like a lot of like balances, things we're learning about each other, having the girls together, what that's like, and so it's been very good, but like any family, there's challenges also, right?
You need to write a book about your life one day. There's so much to get to. So Running to Heal, again, RUNNING, number 2, HEEL. I love that. How'd you come up with that name? And tell me about how you got started with it and what you're trying to raise awareness of.
Sure. So my journey running the New York City Marathon, it all started with a promise I made to Stacey about 7 weeks prior to the time she passed away. We lived in Columbus Circle, so right by anyone who's familiar with New York City, it's like that's right near the finish line of the New York City Marathon. We would always be out cheering. It's the best day in New York. We would always be out every single year cheering on the marathon runners. That year we had our surrogate who gave birth to Hannah, Melissa, with us, cheering with us. It was like an 80-degree sunny day in November of 2022. And I looked at Stacey and I said, you know what? Next year I'm running this, and I'm going to raise awareness for pulmonary hypertension and for rare diseases.
And at that point, she hadn't even been suffering from it.
No. Like I said, her condition was stable for like a couple of years at that point. And then 7 weeks later, she just passed overnight. And so I had to make good on that promise. And so I got myself into shape. I started running, and the reason I began running, it was, at first it was it was for Stacey, and that was the reason I was doing it. And then it became a way for me to, help process my grief, have time to myself. And eventually now, like 3 marathons and 10 half marathons later, it's really become a huge part of my life.
That's really incredible. And have you been able to raise money and funds? And what is the hope that when someone in a similar situation goes to a doctor, that they're able to diagnose them a lot quicker? And do you think that could have saved Stacey, or was it too difficult?
Yeah, so I work with an organization called the National Organization for Rare Disorders, NORD, and I found them when I was looking for organizations to run with the New York City Marathon. Mm-hmm. They gave their last spot to me because they.
Oh, wow.
And I raised over $10,000 for them when I ran the 2023 marathon. I've since run other races with them. I'm currently the captain for this year's team. I'm running like a half marathon in November, but I'm still very involved with the organization. And so where that $10,000 goes is, Stacey and I, fortunately, we had the funds to travel across the country to San Diego, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, DC, just trying to find the best doctors, Johns Hopkins, trying to find the best doctors, the best hospitals to try to find a diagnosis, try to give Stacey treatment. And not everyone has those funds. And so part of what NORD does is they help people with undiagnosed rare conditions have the means to be able to do what we did. And so, and as far as your other question, I really felt like we exhausted every single measure. I just saw an article in the Wall Street Journal actually yesterday where people are now kind of turning to AI to help diagnose themselves with rare conditions.
Interesting.
And I haven't read the article yet, but I saw the headline and I thought, well,
really
I wonder if
amazing.
you could use like ChatGPT or Claude to figure out like what she had,
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me a few months ago that you feel like Stacey sent Marcy to you, your new partner.
Yeah.
You explain that. In our last podcast that we recorded today, we were talking about signs. So what led you to feel that way? I
think the fact that the introduction came from someone that like Stacey knew, and it was like from her family and from and from their friends, and
that was beautiful that they were so open to you finding that love again. And
5 days after Stacey passed away, my father-in-law came up to me and said, "Look, whenever you're ready to start dating, we will 100% support you."
Wow,
again,
that's incredible. But I guess they're also thinking about
Hannah, and probably
right. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I can't even believe we're almost out of time. I have 2 questions that I want to end with. If Stacey could see you today with Hannah after the marathons, after being Mr. Mom, everything you've been through, what do you think she would say to you?
I think she would probably laugh at the fact that I've become a runner now, and like make fun of my running clothes or something. And then she would also, I think she would just be proud and of the way like that I've been raising Hannah, and and to just keep going and keep pushing forward.
Amazing. And I asked this question to everyone. Actually, before I ask you my final question, do you think that Stacey's responsible for you hitting my car that day? Like for Elon Musk's his Tesla beeping not going off, and here we are keeping her legacy alive.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have crossed paths.
Right.
We don't have kids the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how it all works, right?
Yeah.
My question that I always end with, and this might be obvious based on our conversation, but it's what's one moment in your life that changed how you see the world? So I'm sure it's the death of Stacey, but how did that change your outlook on the world and how to maintain such a positive view going forward?
I think over time, this has been my personal experience. Having a death of that magnitude impact your life, it really changes who you are. And I found like the ways it's changed me. Like I've kind of adopted things in my personality, the aspects of Stacey that I really miss the most about her. You know, her positivity, you know, the fact that she went through this thing and no matter what, she was the most positive person ever that you would find. She was always the glass half full type person. I used to be like, I was the negative, like the, you know, glass half empty. And just her love of, you know, photography, and she really lived life as an open book, and I was kind of the opposite. And now like I'm always posting like running stuff and like pictures of Hannah on Instagram. You know, that wasn't me, but I feel like that's my way of carrying her legacy forward.
That is so beautiful. You're so strong, and I'm so glad that we've started this friendship and that you took the time to speak today. I know it must be so difficult, but you keeping her legacy alive sounds like that's exactly what she would have wanted you to do. So thank you, Stephen. Again, Running to Heal on Instagram. Is there any other way people can donate or find you? Anything you want to share?
National Organization for Rare Disorders, NORD. They do a ton of amazing things. Really encourage you to donate to them.
Amazing. Well, thank you. We'll be in touch. Thank you to everyone who listened. What an impactful episode today. I'm so grateful again that you came and made time out of your busy day as a lawyer. We barely even spoke about that, but I'm so grateful. Thank you to Linda and to Farrell, who are our volunteers putting this production together today, and for all of you for taking the time to listen. Have a great day.
If you enjoyed exploring the information, history, and stories in today's conversation, be sure to check out our other podcasts here on HMTV. Please subscribe, share, and stay connected for more engaging conversations.
Humanity Matters.